Might want to pause it here, get yourself a snack, make a strong adult beverage, and then we'll get this party started.
Hey everybody, so if my setup looks a little bit different today, it's because my girlfriend is here and she rearranged my filming setup and I kind of like it. So I'm going to try it out for a video or two. But today I want to talk about a pretty serious topic: homelessness amongst LGBT plus youth. Unfortunately, LGBT plus people make up a disproportionately high percentage of all homeless youth. Various regional surveys have found that somewhere between 7 to 39% of all homeless youth identify as LGBT. And the National LGBTQ Task Force estimates that between 20 to 40% of all homeless youth identify as LGBT, even though people who identify as LGBT are estimated to make up only 4 to 7% of the total population of the US. Basically, all of the available data suggests that queer people are far more likely to experience homelessness than straight cisgender people.
Sorry, little feller, but wrong again. First, let us examine the chart you threw at us as your example. Okay, now this is the chart he threw at us. His evidence, so to speak. And he didn't leave it up very long. There's a reason for that. And the reason is because if you look at it closely, and I'm going to leave it up for a while so you can see what I'm talking about. This is specific areas and specific cities around the United States. It's not a national chart and a percentage of the whole nation. Please, Mr. Riley, show us a national chart to prove your point, instead of cherry picking the first thing you find so you can try to baffle us with your creative bullshit.
So why is that? Well, according to the LGBT Homeless Youth Provider Survey from 2012, the biggest reason is that their parents don't accept their sexual orientation or gender. 46% of respondents said they ran away from home because of rejection, while 43% were kicked out of their house after coming out. You'll notice that the percentages for all of these reasons don't add up to 100%, and that's because respondents were able to choose multiple options. For instance, they could have faced abuse at home and because of that decided to run away. So it's because of societal stigma against queer people that causes youth homelessness to be so rampant within the LGBT plus community. When parents can't accept their queer kid, sometimes they just kick them out of their house. And other times, they make life so miserable for their child that they decide to run away. There's nothing about queer people that makes them inherently more likely to be homeless. It's just the fact that there's so much societal stigma against them that they're often driven to homelessness.
Who are you talking to right now? Who is it you think you see?
Negative attitudes towards people because they're not straight or cisgender aren't just an opinion. They're an actively harmful ideology that puts queer people on the streets. When people crack jokes at the expense of queer people, when people falsely claim that trans women aren't real women, when people argue against marriage equality, all of that contributes to a culture that is okay abandoning their children just because they're different. And it's not just that LGBT plus youth are more likely to be homeless. They're also more likely to be worse off than straight cisgender homeless youth. A review from 2014 in the American Journal of Orthopsychiatry found that LGBT plus people are far more likely to suffer from depression and suicidal thoughts than cishet people. They're more likely to abuse alcohol or drugs, and they're also more likely to be sexually or physically assaulted. And trans people specifically often have it the hardest, because accessing transition-related services can be difficult, if not impossible, while homeless. And those who are able to get hormones may self-medicate in a dangerous way. There's also the fact that homeless shelters are often segregated by sex, which means that trans people fear not being allowed into the shelter that corresponds with their gender, and instead being forced into the shelter that corresponds with the gender they were assigned at birth. For trans women, for example, being forced to use a men's shelter can not only be hugely invalidating and discouraging, but it can also put them in danger when the cis men there find out they're trans. All of this can cause trans people to avoid shelters entirely and face more abuse than cis people when they do use shelters. There's no overnight solution to fixing how homeless LGBT plus youth are treated, but increased federal funding would go a long way. There needs to be more government funding for explicitly LGBT-friendly homeless shelters and organizations. For too many queer people, seeking help at a shelter is a gamble. Will they be accepted? Will they face rejection, humiliation, and possible physical violence all over again? A report by the Pallet Fund, the True Colors Fund, and the Williams Institute identified lack of government funding as the main barrier to improving services for homeless LGBT plus youth.
Well, just as I figured, another pathetic attempt to suck more money from the taxpayers to benefit transgender people with phony baloney charts that don't help his case at all, and bloviated sources he names but never has any proof that they exist at all. Like I said, it's all just pathetic. So, Mr. Riley, You can keep trying to shove this transgender ideology up all our asses. But we know it's all bullshit. And so do you. Yes, you do. There are only two real genders, male and female. So here you go, dude. Here's a real chart of real statistics, nationwide statistics, concerning the real people that are disproportionately homeless. That's right, our veterans. Now here's some facts that might interest you, Mr. Riley. Line number 1, 23% of homeless population are veterans. 33% of male homeless population are veterans. Now this is a nationwide statistical chart. Now your chart consists of primarily large cities in the United States of America. And Seattle, which is your largest percentage, is 39%. But if you average all of what you put listed on your chart, it comes out to be 23.4%. Unlike mine, which is a national survey. Anyway, it breaks it down into rural areas, suburban areas, and central cities. Pay close attention to the line that says central cities. 79% of homeless veterans live in central cities. Maybe tonight you can have a little crow for dinner. Boom, gotcha! Boy, that sure was fun. I'd like to thank you all for watching. You know I appreciate it. Please like, comment, and don't forget that big old subscribe button. I sure could use the help and some more subscribers to my channel. Have a great day. And as always, until next time, bye-bye.